All right, breaking news tonight. The Trump administration continuing to root out the deep state. Earlier today, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard stripped 37 security clearances over a Barack Obama-ordered intelligence report of Russian interference in the 2016 election, which launched Russiagate. She announced the move on X, saying in part that the 37 who had their clearances revoked, quote, abused the public trust by politicizing, manipulating intelligence, leaking classified intelligence without authorization, and or committing intentional, egregious violations of tradecraft standards. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard is here with us with more. This kind of fits in with your original declassification, and that was what you discovered was there was an original senior career intelligence assessment about possible Russian interference in 2016, and they said there was no interference. And correct me if I'm wrong, and then Obama himself reordered another assessment with top intel officials rather than listen to rank and file senior analysts that are career analysts?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's me, Kevin, here with the morning news and my first cup of coffee. This is Moss coffee, but I don't think it's the Jazz. I don't know which one Michelle made. This might be the Papua New Guinea. Either way, I appreciate you guys stopping by, stopping in, sitting down, watching, listening, and let's just jump right into it. Tulsi Gabbard has gotten a little bit of a bad rap, if you ask me, from the start. Not only was her political switch from Democrat to the conservative or party of common sense and joining Trump and MAGA and the Republicans used against her to try to tarnish her name and reputation. But then we've seen other instances even since her appointment and confirmation into her position as DNI. And it's not us, okay? It's not us. Even if it may look and feel and seem like it's us, it's not. Those are paid shills. Those are grifters. And they're only in it for the money. And they will literally talk shit about their own mother if it would pay them. Tulsi Gabbard is doing what she is supposed to do. And this is just another instance and proof of that. And I like how she's not as vocal about it. She lets her own actions speak for themselves, and they speak loud and clear. Now, 37 security clearances revoked. Barack Obama, the scandal. There's more to this that I want you guys to see. So, watch.
Well, James. John, speaking of, crazy sort of policies, one of the things that's been really coming out in the last several weeks has been this whole evidence now that there was a pipeline of classified information from the old Hillary Obama era FBI, from James Comey and Clapper and all of these sorts of deep state operators into the New York Times and so on to create a false impression about Donald Trump being a Russian agent. Now, I was saying earlier in the program that this is creating a huge hangover as they try and sort things out in Ukraine. Tell us more about this, and are we going to see some sort of justice for what seems to have been, a real abuse of power by Democrat officials back in that first Trump administration?
James, we have known the outlines of the Russia collusion hoax for a long time. It was invented by Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. This guy, Christopher Steele, put together this completely fake, so-called dossier of totally made up stuff about Donald Trump and Russia. And then the intelligence agencies and the FBI acted like it was real, and they purported to brief Trump on these allegations, and then they leaked, we have briefed the president on this dossier, and that gave the green light for, all these news organizations, newspapers, TV networks, and so on, to publicize the completely made-up allegations of this Christopher Steele product. We have known about that at least since 2019. One of the House committees investigated Andy McCarthy wrote a book, Ball of Collusion. What's happening now is that the Trump administration is declassifying and publicizing documents that pin down a lot of the details. So we're seeing the actual documents where this hoax is being perpetrated. We knew what happened, but now we're really seeing the details in real time. So is there going to be justice? The real issue, James, is did these people commit a crime?
That is a real issue. Will there be justice? I'm sure you guys can answer that on your own. You don't need my help.
You know, what exactly is the crime? Did they lie? They absolutely did. Did they manipulate and lie about intelligence? You bet they did. We've got it in black and white. But in general, lying is not a crime. If it were, we wouldn't have so many people in Congress, right? So I think it's a wide open question right now whether the Department of Justice is going to conclude that there are individuals here, John Brennan, say, or James Comey, that they can really pin a crime on.
But it seems to be that, there is the idea that, or the memo proof, I guess, that Barack Obama specifically said, let's ramp this thing up, ignored the evidence that said, no, there's nothing to see here. So, no, go and find me the evidence. That's probably paraphrasing.
He says it's paraphrasing, but it sounds a lot like Big Tish. Show me the person and I'll show you the crime. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. And Barack Obama, as president, did the same thing. And he was ultimately just trying to find a way to backdoor some fabricated allegations against a political opponent.
But there's that suggestion. That's a pretty serious thing, isn't it, John? I mean, could Barack Obama see himself in front of a grand jury, or even Hillary Clinton?
I don't think so, to be honest, Rowan. I mean, Barack Obama comes off looking very bad here. He didn't want Donald Trump to succeed him. He was one of the people who collaborated in this effort to handicap that incoming Trump administration by making this huge deal out of a complete fiction, the Russia collusion hoax. And from these memos, we can see that he clearly was in on that plot. No doubt about it. But again, the question is that a crime? I don't think, I may be wrong, but I don't think we're going to be seeing these Obama administration officials or Hillary Clinton in orange jumpsuits.
There we go. Always great to chat to you, John Heinderacre. Thanks so much for chatting to us this morning.
So, not great news. Sorry, guys, to start off your Wednesday, your hump day. So, there's that. But I'm just going to keep it real. I'm not going to, pump you guys full of lies here. Speaking of keeping it real, Craig Jacob shared this, keeping it real. And he says, Kevin, brother, I got a letter a few months ago at the beginning of the year, man. Social Security was going to start taking $186 a month out of my check for Medicare Part B, brother. After I called Chapter, they hooked me up with a plan that only cost me $46 a month. That's right, brother. You saved me $140 a month. Thank you so much. I told them I heard about them directly from you. One of the reasons they said that they could save me so much is because me, being a veteran and getting all of my medications through the VA, I didn't need their medication part of the insurance, which evidently was a big part in saving me that much. Again, thank you, brother. You're doing the Lord's work out there. And honestly, I got to say thank you, Craig. Thank you for taking the opportunity to make the fast, simple, easy, and free phone call to get unbiased help and advice and support. And thank you for saving money. Thank you for no longer wasting the money. And thank you for sharing your story here so that others can be encouraged to do the same, or perhaps maybe in a similar situation, not realizing that they're double paying for something that their VA coverage would pay for. And we've got more specifics that we're going to go into in future videos, more than just the average $1,100 savings, but really getting into the weeds and getting granular on specific medications, specific states, specific hospitals, specific conditions, specific healthcare concerns, specifics, and what matters most to you. The enrollment periods are coming up, and now is the time to make sure that you are where you need to be. That's going to really help you out the best way possible for your specific needs and your budget. So, folks, I'd call them. Call Chapter 270-467-2426. See how much you can save. See how much better a healthcare coverage you can have, and then come back and leave a comment. I really would appreciate it.
So there's a slight difference here in what you're saying, Sean. First of all, thank you for having me on. It's great to see you. The intelligence community assessed in the months leading up to that November 2016 election that, yes, Russia was trying to interfere in our election by sowing discord and chaos, but stating over and over again that Russia did not appear to have any preference for one candidate over the other. They viewed both as equally bad for Russia's interest. The big shift that happened around what is now commonly known as Russiagate was after the election. In early December, President Obama called a meeting of his National Security Council leadership. From that meeting, there was directive that was delivered from President Obama to then Obama's DNI, James Clapper, to then CIA Director John Brennan, to come up with a new intelligence community assessment that contradicted the ones that had been produced previously by the intelligence community. This new one said that Russia, Putin, did try to interfere in the election because he wanted Trump to win. They did this using shoddy intelligence, little pieces of intelligence gathered from places that intelligence professionals refused to reference previously because they knew it was substandard and did not meet the quality and the credibility that is expected of them as intelligence professionals. And they used the Steele dossier, knowing John Brennan knew, James Clapper knew, others within the intelligence community knew that the Steele dossier was a political manufactured document intended to be weaponized against then candidate Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump won the election. The American people voted for Donald Trump in 2016. So these intelligence leaders, and John Brennan and James Clapper and James Comey, then director of the FBI, then used this Steele dossier as a source for this Obama-directed new intelligence assessment. Again, stating and alleging that Putin, Russia, tried to help Trump win the election. Clearly showing a preference for Donald Trump. Now, if you go to odni.gov, people who say, well, Tulsi, this is just your view or your interpretation. No, it's all in hundreds of pages of documents that I've declassified and released that show point by point exactly what happened through this timeline that showed this very dangerous thing that occurred in the creation of Russiagate, the creation of this manufactured intelligence assessment that essentially had the intent of undermining the voices and votes of the American people who elected Donald Trump. They were not happy with the outcome of that election. And so they created this politicized, weaponized piece of fake intelligence that, as you mentioned, then went on to serve as a foundation for everything that came after, the multiple investigations, the years-long Mueller investigation, 2 congressional impeachments, investigations in the raid at Mar-a-Lago. The list goes on and on. Ultimately, the real crime here was against the American people because this action singularly undermined the integrity of our democratic republic. What to speak of the fact that some of those folks and those 37 individuals that we directed the revocation of security clearances from today under the direction of President Trump, they aided and abetted in this action, this seditious conspiracy that undermined our democracy, undermined our republic, and broke that sacred trust that every one of these professionals is supposed to have from the American people.
Is it fair to say that it's your assessment, and you've had more time to do a deep dive into this than anybody else, that they first wanted to, the intel community, high-ranking members, wanted to influence the outcome of the 2016 election. They knew that the dirty dossier was bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton, and it was from Russia, and it was not true. And then when they were unsuccessful in winning that election, were they then determined to undermine and sabotage the incoming president? Did they also put the cinder blocks on the scale of the 2020 election by pre-bunking a laptop that they authenticated as very real in March of 2020 by pre-bunking it with big tech companies, warning them they may be a victim of disinformation, and then from 2020 to 2024, bloody up Trump. In other words, do we have deep state actors that are trying to influence our presidential elections? Is that what we're concluding here?
Let's take a look here. Yahoo News shared this by way of CNN. Tulsi Gabbard revoked security clearances of 37 current and former national security officials. The U.S. government security clearances of at least 37 current and former national security officials have been revoked by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, according to a memo obtained by CNN. And those impacted include people who were involved in conducting an assessment of Russia's efforts to influence the 2016 election, as well as members of former President Joe Biden's National Security Council, according to a person familiar. And the person noted most of the intelligence professionals impacted are not household names. The revocations were first reported by the New York Post, and in an ex-post on Tuesday, Tulsi Gabbard confirmed reports of the action to revoke clearances, writing, and I quote, "Being entrusted with a security clearance is a privilege, not a right. Those in the intelligence community who betray their oath to the Constitution and put their own interests ahead of the interests of the American people have broken the sacred trust they promised to uphold." The memo, which does not cite specific evidence of wrongdoing by current or former officials, was circulated on Monday to multiple U.S. intelligence community agencies, and the person familiar said the DNI memo accused impacted individuals of the politicization or weaponization of intelligence to advance personal, partisan, or non-objective agendas inconsistent with national security priorities. It also accused individuals of failing to protect classified information and professional intelligence assessment tradecraft. The people cited in the memo held positions across a range of government agencies, and it's unclear whether all still held an active clearance at the time of Gabbard's announcement. Gabbard's move is the latest in a string of actions by senior Trump administration officials to discredit the intelligence community's 2017 assessment that Russia sought to intervene in the 2016 presidential election in support of Trump and penalize those involved. Gabbard in July released documents that she said were evidence of a treasonous conspiracy by the Obama administration, including former President Barack Obama, and made criminal referrals to the Justice Department. CIA Director John Ratcliffe also put out his own review critical of the 2017 assessment and referred former officials to the Justice Department who are now under FBI investigation, CNN reported. Attorney General Pam Bondi has directed federal prosecutors to launch a grand jury investigation into accusations that the Obama administration manufactured intelligence. Democrats have accused Gabbard and Trump of using the Russia investigation documents to try to distract from the furor surrounding the Jeffrey Epstein files and to punish his domestic political enemies. In her allegations, Gabbard has conflated and misrepresented what the intelligence community actually concluded in its assessment. For example, Gabbard cited various intelligence assessments from 2016 that stated that Russia did not alter the election results through cyber attacks aimed at infiltrating voting systems, but the intelligence community never found any votes were altered in the first place. She also declassified and released a Republican House Intelligence Committee report that alleged the intelligence community's assessment that Putin preferred Trump over Hillary Clinton was thinly sourced and ignored contradictory evidence. But unlike Gabbard, the House report did not argue that the intelligence was manufactured or that Russian election interference did not occur. Gabbard broadly has made what she has described as depoliticizing the intelligence community a top priority and has removed clearances from a number of current and former officials, some of whom have been public critics of President Trump. And her critics say that far from depoliticizing the intelligence community, she is weaponizing it against the president's perceived political enemies at home. Quote, "These are unlawful and unconstitutional decisions that deviate from well-settled, decades-old laws and policies that sought to protect against just this type of action." This is according to what Mark Zaid said, a national security attorney whose own security clearance was previously revoked by Trump, and, quote, for this administration to claim these individuals politicized or weaponized intelligence blatantly reeks of hypocrisy. This administration would make Senator McCarthy proud. For more CNN news and newsletters, create an account at CNN.com. I won't be doing that, but I will be looking forward to reading you guys' comments down below based on what we discussed, shared, and this conclusion here.
Yes, we have people within the intelligence community. Again, when you look at this example of who President Obama charged with this task, John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey at the highest levels, but also those who worked as careerists within the intelligence community who did not object to their manipulation and manufacturing of intelligence and actually helped them get there. All moving towards their partisan interests, that they were not happy with the outcome of this election, and they were willing to do whatever it took in order to try to undermine President Trump's administration during his first term in office. These are bad actors that have to be rooted out. Our national security depends on it. The ability for the American people's trust to be earned back depends on exposing the bad actors and holding them accountable. And that's what President Trump is determined to do.
Tulsi, thank you. You're doing the country a great service. I hope I wish you all the best in this investigation. We will keep highlighting it on this show. Thank you for sharing that with us.